Starting.
What's up? Hello, everyone.
Hey,
welcome to today's show.
Welcome to the business show. Welcome to the show, guys. So today I've got my earphones in because this naughty little bugger took a walk on my laptop keyboard 5 minutes before the show. Like, what the hell? What's the chances? So if my laptop dies halfway through the show, it's because of that. Cool, guys. Welcome to the show. And today's going to be an epic show. We've got Robin Banks on. So Robin Banks is probably one of South Africa's top international speakers. He's one of the few guys that actually made it internationally. And he's spoken to like Fortune 500 companies, to presidents, to you name it. He's really racked up a thing. So really excited to have Robin Banks on the show today.
Yeah, exciting times, eh? We took us a while to get this one done, but yeah, finally arrived. So everyone let us know where you're from in the chat box.
Yeah, who's on here? Nico, Vincent, Zita, George, Michael, Mark.
Michelle. Hello, Michelle.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show today. So just a quick introduction before we get started. Well, firstly, thanks to all our sponsors. So Uprising. We'll share links later on. If you want to join one of the climbs, they've got one up in November now. That's the one where I almost died on the mountain. On the way down, I said, I can't wait to never do this again. And
yes, and then the next day you told me you'll go again.
The next day you start shopping for your next expedition. So just a quick introduction, guys, for the guys that's new on here. If it's the first time that you're joining the show, also just pop there in the comments. That's the first time that you're joining the show. So we are Entrepreneur HQ, so myself and Willie, and then we've got a team behind us as well. So the services that we offer is digital marketing and business coaching. So we help guys build their e-commerce stores and the sales funnels and run proper digital marketing campaigns. And through that whole process, we notice how many small businesses and startup entrepreneurs there are that can't afford to pay someone 10 or 20 or 30 grand or whatever it is to run their digital campaigns and to build their e-commerce stores and build sales funnels. And that's why we created this group. So we've got a mastermind as well, where we've done a whole bunch of courses. And most of the guys on here as part of our mastermind group. Welcome, guys. If you do want to join it, I'll pop a link in the comments box. Then you can join anytime through the show if you want to join. But otherwise than that, like Willie says, we pay to work here. So we
really do.
And it costs a lot of money to run the show. So we can't do it without the viewers. We can't do it without our sponsors. So thanks to all of you and thanks to all our sponsors, TomTrack, Uprising, eBuzz Radio, Value Smart, Time IT Technologies. Thanks, guys, for the support. And then on to today's show, Willie. So maybe give us a quick introduction. Before I do that, I'll put up, if you want to join our masterminds, $99. You get access to a whole bunch of stuff that's on the landing page. You can go have a look. If it's for you, sign up. If it's not for you, we'll see you at another stage. But we've got close to 100 members now, so a really cool group of guys. If you want to network and lift your level of consciousness, we always say you are the average of the 5 people that you spend your time with. The problem is, where do you find someone else to spend your time with? And that's a big struggle, and that's why we created the mastermind group.
I think we often speak about the lonely journey about entrepreneurship, and that's the place where you can sort that out.
Do you also feel it? It's like, it's a really lonely place. Like if you want to speak to someone, I think your wife or your husband's tired of hearing about all the stuff that happened at the office, and your friends don't really care. So who else is there to speak to? I mean, it's a really lonely journey to find like-minded people who's passionate and that wants to grow. Do you guys experience that as well? If you do, just type in yes in the comments. If you've got something to add, just pop it in there as well. But cool, Willie, tell us about our guest today.
Right, so today's guest is Robin Banks. Many of you would have seen him. He's on the local scene where they do quite a lot of events, and he's a sought after local and international speaker. He's spoken all over. He's a mind power guru. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's worked with quite a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs. And then he's also affected the lives of over 100,000 people worldwide. He's got a massive following online. So yeah, that's Robin Banks. And Eugene, you've been to some of his events. Tell the users a bit about that.
Yeah, so when I started I've been in business for about 10 years, and I started my first full-time company. Before that, I had a few sideline gigs, just hustling to make a bit of cash.
Did you learn out of those? Did you learn out of those mistakes?
Yeah. So not all the companies were successful. When I do fail, I fail miserably, in spectacular fashion.
Fail, but fail fast.
I've had a few spectacular fails. We actually did a business show where myself and Willie told our story, so you can go have a look at one of the previous business shows. But in any case, so I started my first business in 2010, and I realized fairly quickly, I can't do this by myself. I need help. I need someone else. And I didn't know any people in business. None of my family or friends had businesses, so it was a struggle, and like we say, a lonely journey. And then I started coming across these seminars and webinars and events, and then became quite a junkie. I got addicted to seminars, and since then, we worked it out the other day. I've spent over $500,000 on seminars. So anyway,
doing that self-development, how much has that actually advanced you in your business?
Yeah, I don't think I would have probably still been a one-man show. And today we run multi-million businesses, big businesses. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably still be a one-man show doing all the work. So there's a guy, Michael Gerber. I don't know if you guys know him. He wrote a book called The E-Myth.
E-Myth.
If you haven't read it yet, go and check it out. It's a really cool book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. So one of the things that he says is the person or businesses don't work because the people that run them do. So basically what it comes down to is if you're the technician, you start a technician business. If you're the accountant, then you start an accounting business. If you're the IT person, then you start an IT company. So we all end up working for a worse boss than the one we had ourselves.
And you don't get paid.
Yeah, so we start this for freedom, for time, for money, all the reasons that we start, and then 3 years later, we didn't achieve any of it. We just ended up being broke, working twice as hard, having no time whatsoever. So that's where my journey started, is learning all these things and seeing how other successful people do it. So there's a guy, Russell Brunson, that we follow quite regularly. And one of the things that he says is model. So Willie, you know quite a bit about that, modeling, and we apply it in our businesses as well.
Yes, and I think that's one of the things where we also started off when we started EHQ, or this communities. We firmly believe that you can actually fast track success by modeling after other people. And a lot of guys think it's you go and you steal their ideas and stuff like that. That's not really what that's about. It's go and find someone that's successful. Follow them, see what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, and then kind of model after them, and hopefully and that's how you can fast track your success.
Yeah, and it's also about not just modeling what they do from a business perspective, but also from a personal perspective. So Robin Banks will talk quite a bit about it today. How you think, you talk. Do you agree that successful people talk differently, they behave differently, and they've got different habits than people who aren't successful? I don't know. What's your thought on it? But that's, I think, one of the areas to model on as well. Because at the end of the day, the business is a reflection of you. So if you are screwed up in your mind and your thoughts and your beliefs and your habits, what do you think your business is going to look like? And that's why we created this Mastermind group as well, is where do you find successful people? So myself and Willie charge $3,000 per session for coaching. Not every person can afford that. So how do you get access to be coached by someone like myself or Willie? And that's join a Mastermind group. So I belong to probably 4 or 5 different Mastermind groups, ranging from $1,000 a month to quite a lot more than that. And that is where I connect, and that's why I grow my audience and grow the type of people that I connect to. So even if you don't join our Mastermind, guys, go and join a Mastermind. Go and find a group of like-minded people.
Hang out with them.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing where the shift comes, really, is starting. This is our passion business. So we've got other businesses that's our profit business. But what's your passion business? So it's a really cool tool you guys can do. Maybe Willie just copy it in the comments. which is the ikigai.
Ikigai.
A lot of businesses start out, you start being basically the technician and you forget about following your passion. What does the world need? And on the show, who's joining us? Robin!
Joining us today, Robin Banks. Yay! Welcome, Robin.
Thank you, guys. That's a great welcome. You make me feel special. I feel special.
Welcome, Robin. Thank you for taking time out.
Sometimes people say my mic looks funny in the camera, but I think it's such a cool mic. Isn't it a cool mic? 'n lekker ding daar soos laat ek hom bietjie afstuur dat hy nie mense laat bietjie
Cool, Robin. So welcome for joining us in today's show. And for everyone that does not know you, maybe give us a quick introduction about who you are and where you're from, and yeah, go for it.
Absolutely. So my name is Robin Banks, and I always tell people that's my name. I can't tell you how many times people have confused me with Mark Banks. So I just want to clarify that Mark Banks is a comedian. I am a speaker. He's white. I'm colored. We're different. So, when I was about 16 years old, I met a guy who was visiting South Africa from the States. You're in Fourways, and this guy's name was Bob Hollis. And I'll never forget when I met him. A friend of mine was introducing me to him. He says, "Robin, this is my friend Bob Hollis. Bob, this is Robin Banks." And this guy says, "Robin Banks? Did he say your name was Robin Banks?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Robin Banks sounds more like an occupation than a name." So,
Robin Banks.
I'm Robin Banks. I'm from a place called Riverlea in Johannesburg. Riverlea, for those of you who don't know, is previously a colored township because I'm colored. I've got English blood. That's why my name is Robin Banks. It's the British side. And I've got Zulu blood, which is Mzimang. So it's a clear lung, and I'm proud of it. I love my heritage. And I grew up in Joburg, and I spent the first 18 years of my life living in Joburg. I got very lucky, Willie. I got to go and live in the States for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
18. It was a big change for me. That was when my journey began, because what happened is, I was always in trouble at school because I was loud, I was over the top, and people always used to say, Robin doesn't know how to sit still, Robin doesn't know how to keep quiet in class, Robin is disruptive. And so I had negative report cards, and understandably so. I was always loud. I've always been loud. I'm not forcing this. I've always been loud. And suddenly I got to the States and people were like, "Man, you're great, man. You're awesome, man. You got such great energy, man. You just got to learn to channel it. It's a little bit all over the place, but you got such great energy." And so the States were really good for me because it allowed me to bring out my authentic self, but do it in a healthy way. So, and then I came back to South Africa in 1991, and everyone said, "Why are you coming back to South Africa? No one knows what's going to be happening in the country." People are always in fear. Like right now, it's like, "Oh, the end of the world is coming." And I said to them, "You know what, guys? I believe I'm here to play my part in helping the country make a transition into a new way of being." And I'm proudly South African. I love my country. I love the fact that I get to travel the world, but I don't want to live anywhere else other than South Africa. And to be honest with you, I don't even want to live anywhere else other than Joburg. People say, "But what about Cape Town?" I'm like,
what about Pretoria? What about Pretoria?
I like Pretoria too. It's kind of the same. Mangwane ele Pretoria. So yeah, that's a bit about my background. I'm passionate about people development. What really gets me going is being around people. I've had to learn about technology during lockdown because my team used to do all of that for me. So now I've got a mantra that I've been using, which you guys might like. It goes, "Every day I awaken, every day I arise. I master my skills and grow technically wise." And I've had to use it because it was gone. I was like, "What the hell?" So that's a little bit of background about me.
Yeah, awesome. It's funny how one of the things that was a limiting factor growing up, your energy and your just the vibrance limited you in school, and that became one of the biggest reasons for your success. I mean,
It's funny. It's funny, Eugene, I've never thought about that, but I mean, how true is that for most of us, that often your greatest strength can also be your weakness, and the opposite is true too. Your greatest weakness can also be your greatest strength. And for me, one of my favorite things I love saying to people is, you are not your story. You know, like, yeah, but I was sexually abused when I was younger. When I was 5 years old, I was sexually abused by a woman. I was sexually abused by my cousin, a man. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm not making up a story. This is true. And so what I'm saying is that people often allow their past to define them, and they allow their past to limit them. I think the opposite is true. What you should do is allow your past to strengthen you. You should allow your past to embolden you. And so in a way, the fact that I was always in trouble for my energy, I mean, I bumped into my maths teacher a few years ago. He says, "Banks, what do you do for a living?" And I said to him, "Sir, do you remember how you tell me to shut up in class?" He says, "You were flapping your jaws. You just didn't know how to shut up." I said, "Well, you're not going to believe it. People pay me to talk." You used to tell me to shut up. I said, "Yo, Robin, dis bietjie geld. Praat so 'n bietjie, man. Praat so 'n bietjie."
Is that really interesting about how we allow our past or our story to define us, but how we also use someone else's story to define them. So it goes out to other people. We generalize and we put people in boxes.
Beautiful.
And by doing that, that's a limiting behavior towards someone else. But how you do one thing, so how you do everything. So that becomes a limiting behavior for yourself as well.
I love that. I love that, Eugene. And I think we do that. And most of us are doing it unconsciously. We don't allow people to shine and to be beautiful. And I think that is so true. And in fact, one of my desires, I don't always succeed, I think I mostly succeed, is to light the spark inside of people. There's a beautiful poem by Marianne Williamson. I'm pretty sure everybody knows it. And it's called Our Deepest Fear. I'm sure you know it. You know it?
Yeah, that light, what's not our weakness. Yeah.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. We ask ourselves, who am I to be gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You were born to be magnificent. I'm paraphrasing. You were born to bring your light, and there's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insignificant around you. And what I love about that is that I believe that, people will often say to me, "But Robin, isn't all this stuff you teach arrogant?" Because I teach people how to believe in themselves. I teach people how to create self-confidence. I teach people how to vibrate with positive energy, because science has proven that everything is energy. The table is made up of energy. The camera I'm looking at is made of energy. I'm literally speaking to you right now. And as I'm speaking to you, I find this amazing, guys. As we are speaking to each other right now, our cells are being converted into a digital code made up of ones and zeros. It's going into the microphone. It's going to the camera. It's traveling through the airways. And people from all over the world can actually witness us having this conversation. Tell me that's not phenomenal. And in the exact same way,
amazing.
It's wild when you actually think about, how am I seeing you, Willie, so crystal clear. I can see your smile. I can see your beard. I can see everything, and it's live. So as I do this, you see me do this, no matter where you are in the world. And literally what is happening is that it's insane. And so it's being converted into energy. So what I want people to get, and primarily what I teach people, and this is quantum physics. It's not my stuff. It's not new. It's fact. Everything is made up of energy. You are made up of energy. And I don't know if you remember, did you guys see the movie The Matrix? I love telling this story. But I'll never forget in the movie The Matrix, there's a scene there where Keanu Reeves comes into a room and Agent Smith is standing with a gun and he says, "Dodge this," and he empties the cartridge of bullets into his body and nails and he falls dead on the ground. And then Trinity, who was with his real body in the Nebuchadnezzar, which won't make sense if you haven't seen the movie, and I like she says to him, "Neo, the Oracle, she said, you're the one. You can't be dead, Neo. And she gives him like this big Frenchie. It's like the kiss of life. And she's like, get up. And Neo's like, okay.
Numbers.
He saw
energy.
He saw energy. He saw that the walls were made up of ones and zeros. The floor was made up of ones and zeros. The people in front of him were made up of ones and zeros. And even though it's a movie, it's actually based in fact, because everything is made up of energy. Now, for those of you on the screen right now, just have a look. You'll see that Eugene is crystal clear. Willie's crystal clear, but Eugene's video, obviously his internet's not great. And you can see that he's actually, literally, I'm not joking, this is perfect timing. His video is not as clear, and so your energy is not as sharp. And okay, now it's coming back, but it wasn't. And so, in a funny way, even though I can't believe the timing of that. That was just perfect, because what we see when we see things around us is we see the end result. We don't see, because this is sad. This is sad. So what they've done is they've taken sand and they've molded it into a glass. So everything's basically made up of the same stuff. It's all freaking made up of energy. Everything's made up of energy. And here's my favorite part. It just so happens that the most basic form of energy that we can control, that we can manipulate, that we can direct is the thoughts we think. So every single time you think a thought, literally when you think, I hate my life, you send out an energy of he hates his life, he hates his life, he hates his life. And you are like a magnet, so what you will attract into your life is hardship. Or if you think to yourself, I am tremendously successful, you send out an energy. He's tremendously successful, and he attracts success. So what I really want people to get is that you actually are so powerful that you are creating the life you're living right now. Whether you like the life or you don't like it, you're creating your life. The cool thing is if you don't like what you're creating, you can change it. All I have to do is learn to master my energy. So when you speak about my energy, I know that what people feel from me more than what I'm saying is they feel my energy. So in fact, I'll even tell you guys a story that I was telling these amazing Owens here, that before we started, I went to work out because I had a late night last night. I didn't sleep much. I was wired after my session last night. And so I was recharging. So what did I do? I went to the gym and I did some running and I did some weights because I was trying to lift my energy for this interview. I wanted to make sure that I show up at my best. So if you can recognize that more than what you say, people feel who you are being. You are an energy being and your energy walks into the room before you do. People feel your energy. So what you want to do is you want to vibrate. And I mean this, literally vibrate with a positive energy because you literally are a vibration of energy. You're gonna go home and tell your partner tonight, baby, tonight I discovered that I'm a walking vibrator. Yeah.
I think everyone is definitely made up of energy. Someone just brought two thoughts determine our behavior, and our words also determine our behavior, which I'm sure you'll talk about now. Just an interesting story is this morning my girlfriend walked out, and this is how we can influence those around us. She walked out and she said, I've got a feeling that today you are going to have an amazing day. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And I didn't think anything of it. Just before we got into school, I closed a 100,000 Rand deal. I signed up 2 new coaching clients on 6 months packages. We've got Robin banks on our business.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how our words and stuff can influence other people and those around us. So it's not just for ourselves, but also we reflect it onto others.
Yeah. And so this is so awesome because, you're actually leading into exactly what I want to teach people.
Yeah, we're back. Who is it? Well, Robin.
Okay. So you had a freeze there. I don't know what happened. Robin's the only one that stayed on. Technology.
The energy is cool.
Yeah.
The technology cut it out itself. Robin, so I've got a question for you. Do you have a particular failure that stands out for you? Yes. Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
It might be that it's maybe Robin, sorry about it. Maybe just refresh your browser quick, Robin, then it'll sign you out and sign back in. Sorry, guys. We quickly. Thanks for quickly refreshing.
Come back in.
Can you hear Willie and Eugene, not Robin? Okay. Robin's
Okay,
going to be signing
am I back now?
Robin's back. We can hear you.
All right. So Melita, Michael, Joanne, can you guys hear me now? Because you guys could hear me earlier. I just need to check that they could hear me because they were saying they couldn't hear me, but you guys could hear me. So let's just see if Melita, Michael, Joanne.
How interesting.
How fascinating.
How fascinating.
Thanks, Nico. They can hear me now. Thank you.
We're back.
Okay, cool. So you asked a good question. So you asked, is there a particular failure that stands out for me? I've had many failures. And I think it's important as entrepreneurs that you guys know this. I remember, I'll tell you one. And by the way, one of my favorite quotes is by Robert Kiyosaki. You may know it. He says, sometimes you win, sometimes you
learn.
You learn.
Boom. Well done, gentlemen. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. You never lose if you learn the lesson. If you learn the lesson, you never lose. And so my very first Mind Power course that I did outside of South Africa was in Auckland, New Zealand. And it was 2011, 9 years ago. And I remember when I worked out how much it was going to cost me just for the basics, because, I had to pay for the flights, accommodation, venue hire, sound, and of course, marketing. I had to do radio ads. I had to do newspaper ads. And I worked out that in those days, I think I had to send out of the country R500,000. Now, my business wasn't then what it is now, but I had to send out 500,000 Rand without knowing what was coming back. But I thought of my uncle. I've got an Italian uncle, Uncle Giovanni Scarcella. And when I was 24 years old, I wanted to buy a Beetle. I saw a Beetle I wanted to buy, a little Volkswagen Beetle. And it was 4,500 Rand. And I had saved 2,000 Rand, but I didn't have the other 2.5. This is when I was 24 years old, so 26 years ago. And my parents said they'd lend me the money, but I knew that my parents hadn't prepared for their old age. And I thought, if I lend money from my parents and I can't pay them back, I will never, ever, ever, ever forgive myself. So I asked my uncle, because he was rich, and I thought he'd give me. So I was hoping that as I told him the story, he said, don't worry, Robin, I give you the money. But I'll never forget, he gave me something better. Instead of giving me the money, he said to me, Robin, my boy, sometimes in life, you must take a chance. He say, you want to ride bicycle for the rest of your life? Because I used to have a bicycle. I had 2 bicycles. I had a road bike and a mountain bike. And taking the girls out on a bicycle wasn't so cool. You know, like you like that. It was courage. So, and I'll never forget, my uncle says, Robin, my boy, sometimes in life you must take a chance. And then he said, don't take stupid chance, eh? Don't buy Ferrari. He say, but buy Beetle. He say, you must take a right size a chance. And he say, if you don't take a chance, you don't get anywhere. So take a chance. And I thought, freaking hell, that's a great. And I thought, you know what, this is a chance. I took a chance. I borrowed the money from my parents, and I paid my parents back within about 6 months because I was like so determined to pay them back because I'm like, I'm not going to, take my parents' pension money. And so when I had to send 500,000 Rand out of the country, now when I was just like, yo, it's my help for me. And I thought to myself, and my mentor, John Keogh, said to me, so Robbie, let's weigh up the pros and cons. He says, can you afford to lose 500,000 Rand at this point in your career? And I said, well, I wouldn't like to. He says, I didn't ask if you'd like to. He says, no one likes to lose money. He says, but let's look at the downside. He says, what's the worst that could happen? So I said, I'm pretty confident some people will sign up on the course. I'm very sure, and I said, so, I think at worst scenario, I'll spend 500,000. I'll probably make 250, 300,000 back. So I might lose 200,000. So he said, and that wouldn't be great. I said, no, that wouldn't be great. He says, but can you afford to lose it? I said, yeah. He says, cool. He says, what's the upside? So weigh up the pros and cons. Worst is you'd lose 200,000. What's the best? And I said, well, if things go really, really well, I could make $1 million. And he says, how would you like to make $1 million? I said, I'd love to make $1 million. He says, well, then take the risk. I took the risk, sent 5. I remember when I pressed transfer, it was like, I went to Auckland. I booked a venue that seated 700 seats. And then I suddenly thought, you know what? I don't have the brand recognition in New Zealand that I have in South Africa. So let's put 400 chairs in so it doesn't look bad. If there's 400 people in the room and there's 700 chairs, let's just space the chairs out. Even worse, 180 people show. And I've spent so much money on marketing. And there's 180 people in the room, which, by the way, isn't bad. But just when you're expecting 700 and 180 show up, and I suddenly thought, as they say in Khoisan, whenever a bushman is saying the bushman, he sees a lion running, you hear, which basically means So I went to bed that night, and I was like, oh, shit. And I thought, I am about to lose like 400,000 Rand. I'm like, this is a disaster. And I'm not going to tell you guys, you probably, I don't know. I'm sure some of you on the line know what it's like when your business is really struggling. I couldn't sleep that night. I was thinking, and I used one of my mind power techniques, which I won't get into.
Vibrated that night.
I was vibrating a different frequency. But I used quantum time, which is one of the mind power techniques where I started calling on my future self to guide me. I had an amazing idea the next day in the shower. To cut a long story short, I basically added another event. And on the event, I basically broke even.
Wow.
And I've never been so happy to break even. It wasn't costing me anything. I wasn't making anything. I was basically working for free.
Yes, we know how that feels.
But I made a lot of contacts. And then one of the contacts was a company, and they're a big real estate company in New Zealand, Barfoot and Thompson. And they came to one of my talks. I invited them as a guest for free. They loved me so much that the next year they paid me to fly back business class and do a talk for them. They allowed me to sell my course to their delegates. And the next year I made $1 million. I made just over $1 million Rand. So it was worth it. So I want you guys to know, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. But the key is make sure you do learn. You know, like how can you do it differently next time? And so, yeah. And by the way, Willie, I've got lots of stories that's not the only one. I've had numerous times where I've had to really break through. And by the way, any successful entrepreneur, the road to success is paved with failure. And so you have to just make sure that it's a calculated risk. Don't take stupid a chance. Don't buy Ferrari. You must take a chance. And so I'm very conscious in my business about what I invest in. The one thing I invest in is marketing. If you're not marketing, I don't care how good your product is. If you don't have, I mean, I've got an outstanding product, but until I learned how to market and to sell, I hated selling. I'm like, people should do the course if they want to do it. And then I realized, actually, part of my job is I need to sell. And I need to tell people, listen, this course will change your life. This is what it's done for Eugene. This is what it's done for Willie. This is what it's done for Alexi. It'll be the best decision you've ever made in your life. Because some people are an easy sell. Some people are a hard sell. I'm a hard sell. You know, I think twice, I think 10 times. and so really there's so many aspects of your business you have to work at. But the key aspect of your business is you. You, the energy. And I want to come back in case we forget. I want to come back to what Willie said. You said your wife said this morning as she left. What did you say your wife said as you were leaving this morning? Eugene, your wife said as you were leaving, I have the feeling that you're going to have an amazing day today.
Yeah.
And then you closed 100,000 Rand deal. Lots of other things are happening that are awesome. Here's what I invite those of you who are on this webinar to do. Create your success in advance. Create an amazing day from the moment you open your eyes, because if everything is energy and vibration, and it just so happens the most basic form of energy that you can control and direct is your thoughts, wouldn't you be better off to think the thoughts you want to think? So, Eugene, every morning when I wake up, you know what I say to myself? I'm going to have an awesome and outstanding day today.
Wow.
And I actually say that. That's not just something I tell people and then I don't do it. I wake up in the morning and I tell myself, it's going to be an awesome and outstanding day today.
Do you stand in front of the mirror and say it to yourself?
Brew, I stand in front of the mirror. I do it in the shower. I do it in the gym. I'm always doing it. I'm always inspiring myself. I've got mantras. I'm a top international speaker, successful throughout this planet. I am brilliant. I am bright. I'm a radiant being of light. I'm an outstanding peak performer. I'm a dynamic life transformer. So the thing is, I literally am building my energy, because your words are also made up of energy. So your thoughts are made up of energy. Your words are made up of energy. And if you can align these three things, you become unstoppable. My thought, my word, and my action are powerful forces of attraction. Please to repeat after me. Willie and Eugene, repeat. My thought, my word, and my action.
My thought, my word, and my action
are powerful forces of attraction.
Are powerful forces of attraction.
My thought, my word, and my action are powerful forces of attraction. So what I mean by that is when you can get that, if your thoughts, your words, and your actions are in alignment, there's an incredible amount of power there. But here's what happens for most people. Most people think one thing, they say something else, and then they behave differently, and then they wonder why they don't have personal power. I'll give you a simple example. Like you see someone come walking down the road and you're like, oh, hell, here's Charlotte. Oh, Charlotte. Oh. Hey, Charlotte, how are you? Good to see you. We must get together sometime. You're looking so well. Okay, I'll give you a call. Bye-bye, Charlotte. Lovely. Oh, hell. Oh. You know, people like that. They two-face. Because when you do that, you're actually leaking energy, because you're not being authentic. You're not being in alignment. So for me, if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to get up and go to the gym, get up and go to the gym. Because if you can't be your word, why should the universe trust you when you ask for something? So being your word is crucial for your success. Being a businessman of integrity. Like, I mean, I could screw people over. They'd have absolutely no idea. Like, I mean, I had a woman come up to me at one of my seminars, and she wanted to do my course. and she was quite a gorgeous woman. And she said to me, Robin, and I could see she was using her charm. And she was like, Robin, I really can't afford to do your course right now, but won't you give it to me? I said, no, I won't. And she says, why not? I said, because first of all, you're not going to value it and you probably won't do the exercises. And I said, and besides that, I couldn't do that. She says, why not? I said, because it's inauthentic. Why should other people pay and I give it to you for free? And then she said to me, yes, but they won't know. So I said, yes, but I will.
I would know. Wow.
And I can't be powerful if I am being inauthentic, if I'm not practicing what I preach, if I'm not in my integrity. So for me, a huge part of your success long-term is being your word to yourself. Because when I say to people, I give you my word, I will not betray your trust, this will change your life. I know it because it's changed mine. Mm-hmm. I've seen it do it for people. So yeah, sorry, as you know, as I said to these guys before we started, they need to watch me, but when this thing starts, it doesn't stop.
We eventually have a guest on the show that talks more than me, Willie.
Yeah, no.
There's a couple of things that stand out in those stories, Robin. One is you mentioned how you need to learn, and there's a saying, life will keep repeating the lesson until you're ready to learn it. So if you don't learn out of it, you keep in your same circumstances, and then you want to blame the universe and the world and your governments and everything for the state of your life, when it's actually a reflection of your own actions.
Absolutely. One of my favorite stories about that is look at the kind of relationships that you attract into your life. Isn't it interesting? Like this one woman, I use this example, and it's true for many people. This one woman leaves a marriage, and she and her husband has such a bad marriage, and she leaves the relationship with this belief system that all men are bastards. And she puts this energy out that all men are bastards. And she vibrates with this energy that all men are bastards. And I really want you to you are like a magnet. Whatever energy you put out, whatever you say, you attract. So because she believes that all men are bastards, guess what she attracts? Bastards.
Bastards.
See? Bastards. Look at all these bastards. Then she reads newspaper articles. Who's causing all the problems in the world? Men. Bastards. Then she joins groups of women who are divorced. What do they speak about? Their ex-husbands. Yours is also a bastard? Bastards. And so what happens is, what do you think? I'm willing to bet you with that belief system, her next relationship will be with?
Yeah, bastard.
A woman.
Bastard.
A woman. Make sure.
A woman.
The joke.
That is definitely our beliefs creates our reality. And the thing about that, what you just mentioned, is you go to a party, 5 different people go to the same party. One person will say, can you believe how naughty the kids are? The other person will say, can you believe everyone's on their phones? The other person will say, I've never met such amazing people. And the other one said, I've never met such horrible people. So all of your reality that plays back to you is a reflection of your own thoughts, and your thoughts becomes your words and your actions, which then create your beliefs. Yeah. And if you don't change your words, then you don't change your beliefs. And that's how we reflect back the world. And then we want to blame everyone else for that.
And again, what you say, you attract. I was at a party many years ago now in Sandton, and some guy was telling me him and his family were held up at gunpoint. What the joke, Sonia, is about. Sorry, I'm seeing Sonia's comments. I shouldn't watch. But this guy was telling me how him and his family were held up at gunpoint by 2 armed robbers, and which is not great. And I've had the experience, so I know what it's like. And while he was telling me the story, I said to him, and he says, crime is so bad. I said, crime is just terrible. So after a while, I said to him, well, of course it is. I said, let me tell you something that you might not like. I said, what if I told you that you are much more, he says, listen, Rob, crime is here. I said, I agree. I said, but you need to change your perspective. So he says, what do you mean? He says, do you mean to tell me that just because you are positive, that you're never going to experience crime in this country? I said, good grief, no. I said, that's not what I'm saying at all. I said, what I am saying is it's much more likely to happen to you than it is to happen to me. And this guy says, what? I said, it's much more likely to happen to you than it is to happen to me. So he says, why? I said, because that's all you ever talk about. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, I have heard you over telling the same story to about 3 other people this evening. And I said, I'm willing to bet you it's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning. You play that movie of how you were held up at gunpoint. He said, yeah. I said, I bet you talk about it at least 2 or 3 times a day minimum. So I said, be honest. He says, well, it's real. It's traumatic. I said, absolutely. I said, I'm not saying it's not real. I said, I'm just saying that you're focusing on it. You're talking about it. You're dwelling it. He said, but Robin, what am I supposed to do? It's real. I said, I'm not saying it's not real. I said, do you love your wife? He said, of course I love my wife. I said, you didn't tell me that once. He says, but that, I said, you keep focusing on and I said, how long ago did it happen? He said, 7 months ago. I said, actually, yes, it might have physically happened 7 months ago, but right now it's happening again. It's that every time you tell the story, it's happening again. It's happening again because you're feeding it the energy. My invitation to you, if you really want to change your situation, stop watching the movie, because some people love, like, people often say to me, geez, Robin, you're probably always positive. Hell no. Let me be very clear. Nobody's always positive. Everybody has a bad day now and then. I had a bad day in March last year. It was absolutely terrible. Yeah, I'm kidding. But what I'm saying is some people love to make a campsite. Is that they talk about, this is my bad day, and they take it with them like baggage everywhere they go. Like, Eugene, when I was 7 years old, my father left me. And if my father hadn't have left, my life would have been much better off. It's because of him that my life is the way it is. And then what happened is I got married. And the person I got married is such a difficult person. And with the wife on top of that also came the mother-in-law, and not to mention the dog. And what we do is we drag around all our negative baggage, and then we talk about our baggage, as opposed to realizing all you have to do to set yourself free is let go, as you said, of the need to blame other people for how you're feeling, or the story of your life, or that I was sexually abused, or that it's your story. It's your story. And here's the best part. You can watch a different movie. You can create a new story. I am not saying it's easy. I am not saying, but a lot of us think that we've got our own unique story about why we can't succeed. It is BS, guys. And you know what I mean by BS, by the way? What do I mean by BS?
No.
Let's ask in the comments. I know.
You guys know. Belief system, not bullshit. I know some of you are thinking. But your belief systems literally create your experience, because what I think affects what I believe, and what I believe affects what I achieve. And you will never achieve a greater result than you believe you can achieve. Yeah. So my job is to help people I want to inflame your imagination with possibility. Like, honestly, guys, if you had told me that I'd be living in the house I'm living today, I mean, I'm a California from Rivoli. And if you told me that I'd be living in a home with a view, like, I mean, let me see if I can show you my beautiful view. It's gorgeous. But I'm very blessed. I'm a lucky man. But I also created it. And of course, only I have this ability. Nobody else on this webinar can do this. Only I have this power. We have the power to create our lives. We have the power to create our circumstances. But you have to learn to master your mind.
And you have to be open to do that.
Yeah.
So one last question on that from my side. So we call it entrepreneur roller coaster. I think everyone experiences it. Entrepreneurs are maybe just a bit more aware because they attend Robin Banks conferences and stuff like that. So we're on this entrepreneur roller coaster, and at the top we're feeling great. We're not allowing our story to affect us and all these things. And as we go down, then we get into a state where we have a bad day, or we allow something to drag us down again, or we replay a story that happens in our mind. What is a tip that you can give to not stay in that state for an extended period of time, to quickly pick yourself out of that state?
So it's a great question, and I actually just referred to it right now. I'll tell you a story because I think people learn a lot more from stories. And if you come to my talks, you'll hear there's lots of stories. And the reason I tell stories is people can relate. Like the story I tell you guys of picking out the window at my girlfriend.
Yes, that is probably one of the funniest ones. Is that where you're walking past the window of your girlfriend and you keep looking? Yes, I've heard it myself.
She's out with someone else. Can you believe she's doing this to me? And I was upset that she's done this to me. So,
well, mate, tell the story for the God.
Here's what I want to say to you. I'm not saying to you that you must deny what's going on. So you need to see the situation as it is. But as Tony Robbins says, see it as it is and then see it better than it is. So how do you want it to be? So you see the situation. So I'll give you an example. Many years ago, I discovered that my business manager many years ago had done something very unethical in my business. And I was absolutely furious. And I fired her. And then I discovered that she had told me a series of lies. And she had basically been lying to me for years. And I was furious because I trusted this woman. I trusted her with my life. I trusted her with my money. I trusted her with my business. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I literally went through 2 weeks where I was so upset. And I literally used to I'd be talking to people, can you believe what she did? And do you know that actually she told me she was here when actually she wasn't, she was doing this. And do you remember that situation? And I was so stressed and I was like, my energy was so negative and angry. And I remember waking up on a Sunday morning. I was still living in an apartment in Sandton. And it was September. And I opened my eyes, and as I opened my eyes, the very first thought I had was, oh, so when she did this, she was actually lying, because actually what was going on, and as I did that, I swear to God, I shouted out loud. I was alone in the house. I shouted out loud at myself, and I said, no, Robin, stop watching that movie. It's a beautiful day. Go spend the day with your mother. Take your mother for lunch. You are not allowed to watch that movie today. I don't want you to even mention that person's name to me. And I was like, and I actually was like, it was. And you're not even allowed to think about it. And I was like, right. I got up. I went for a run. And every time my mind wanted to play that movie, I said, you're not allowed to watch that movie. And I was like, think about something else. So here's the secret. Control and direct what you think about. See the situation as it is, and then, okay, start focusing on how you want it to be, and then ask your mind the question, okay, how am I going to make it that way? And now in the beginning, your mind's going to say, you can't, it's tough, it's impossible. And then you need to say to your mind, okay, I hear you. I know it's tough, but if I could change the situation, how would I change the situation? Because here's a key. Any question you ask your mind must look for answers. It's like the ultimate Google search. Your job is to make sure that you're asking your mind the question that gives you the answer you want. So I didn't think about it. I had a fabulous day. 3 days later, I was driving to do a presentation somewhere. It was early in the morning. I was sitting in traffic, and I remember thinking to myself, oh, so actually, when she did this, and I looked at myself in the rearview mirror, I said, are you watching that movie again? And I was like, no, it's just a preview. It's just a preview. And I stopped because, so here's the thing. Guys, if all you take from my session today, learn to master your thoughts. Control what you think about. There's an analogy I teach people. You guys have seen me do it before, but it's the most powerful analogy. Your mind is like a garden of rich, fertile soil. Any seed that you sow into rich, fertile soil, if you nourish and care for it, that seed will grow. The soil doesn't care whether you plant weeds, potatoes, carrots, pumpkins, roses. It produces what you want. And in the same way, your mind doesn't care whether you focus on success or failure, happiness or misery, abundance or poverty. Your job is to feed your mind the thoughts you want it to think. So the tip I would say to people is, if you're in that spiral, if you're in that dip, don't deny it. As somebody wrote there, I saw someone writing one of my favorite quotes, I think Cindy, feel the feeling, but don't become the feeling. So you can feel despondent. And you can say to yourself, oh, Cindy, I'm feeling a bit flat today, hey? Okay. Don't become the flatness. You can just observe it. Okay, so Cindy's feeling flat today. Great. All right, so what do we have to do today? Don't let the feeling control the action. See the feeling and then say, okay, how do I use this feeling to fuel me? How do I want to feel? And one of the best ways to change your feelings is to change your physical actions. Go for a run. Do something physical. Change your physical posture. So the quickest way to change your state is by doing some physical activity. So today I was exhausted and I was not ready to do this interview. So what did I do? I went to the gym and I did some exercise. And as you can tell, my energy's changed.
Yeah. There's a good vibration going on there, eh?
Rob, I want to ask one more thing, and I think then Willie's got another question. Is for the viewers that's on the show and everyone that's going to watch the replay and everyone that's part of our community and stuff, if they want to continue working with you, I know you said you've got a special offer for our guests and you gave me the link that I'm going to put up here, which is robinbanksmindpower.com/special. So you guys can go onto that. Just tell the viewers and our members of our EHQ Mastermind group what they can expect on this journey and on this presentation of yours.
Absolutely. So basically what it is I run a 3-month university. I call it a 3-month university. And the main reason it's a 3-month journey is that the truth of the matter is that motivation doesn't last. Motivation is temporary. Transformation is permanent. So while I like that people feel motivated after my sessions, I don't actually want you to be motivated. I don't want you to be inspired. I want you to be transformed. And the only way to get transformation is application. So the reason why it's a 3-month university is I ask people to come and study with me for 3 months. The course is made up of 3 pieces. There's 3 parts. The first part is a 6-week online program, and it's 6 4-hour sessions. And by the way, I know some people go 4 hours. It's high energy, lots of fun, lots of content. So I'll teach you how you can, first of all, take out your old programming, uninstall your beliefs that don't serve you, because you can't sow seeds into a garden that's full of weeds. You first got to take out the negative belief systems. So, and then after the first week, you go and do 30 minutes of mind power every day. Why? You don't go to the gym to watch other people working out. Even though I know some of you do.
Wow. Wow.
I know some of you like that exercise when the ladies are bending over that one machine and they're doing those hamstrings. Like, ooh, I'm watching.
I haven't seen it.
So, but sorry, did I say that on air? Apologies. But so I ask you to do 30 minutes of mind power every day, because what gives you mind power is not me. I give you techniques, I give you inspiration, but application. 30 minutes of mind power every single day for 90 days. There's no way you can't become mentally fit, because I want you to become an athlete of the mind. So it's 6 weeks with different content. And then afterwards, the second part is I give you a 6-week audio program to really deepen your understanding of mind power. And then I think there's a third part, which is I give you a program called The Spirit of Money. For those of you who want to manifest more money, if you don't want to manifest more money, don't listen to the CD, or listen to the CD and give it to me. But I think that's a joke. The package is usually, because usually it's the cost of the package in South African rands is about 25,000 rands. But because it's online and because these are interesting times, there's a special, I think it's just under 5,000 rand, 4,850. We've got about 300 people on the course. It starts this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I'd love to have you guys.
People that's already signed up for your course.
Oh, good.
That's part of the thing, and some good testimonials in the chats here.
Oh, thank you. It's wonderful. I've got my fans on here already. I think some of them were with me last night. We had such a great webinar last night. Thank you, by the way. You guys are looking like you're in the Matrix again.
Cool, Robin. So I've got one last question. We've got a lot of newbies and startup guys that's starting their businesses now. You've been in business for quite a long time. What's one tip that you can leave these guys with today before we sign off, that can help them in their entrepreneurial journey going forward?
Yeah. Here's the thing for me. There's a lot of things I could say, but I always trust my intuition and what comes up. The one motto, and this is a purely business one, this isn't mind power, this is pure business. low overheads, high profit. Keep your overheads low. I can't tell you how many times people came to my office and go, but this office, it's an okay office, but I mean, you're robbing banks. I mean, it's not. I said, well, no one comes to my office. Yeah, but I thought you'd have nicer looking offices. Why? And they're like, I'm like, yeah, but why must I spend lots of money on an office? I mean, one of my businesses that I've taken over now, that I'm now a big shareholder in, they were paying 35 grand a month rent. And I was like, why? No, because of the image we want to portray. They're paying 10 and they were making a loss. They're paying 10 grand a month now and they're making a profit. Okay? So be freaking smart. Don't be doof. It's not about looking good. At the end of the day, you're in business. And what you want to do is, I don't care how much money you make. The most important thing, if I may show you physically, is what stays in the pocket, guys. That's the most important thing. I remember at one point I told my mentor, John Keogh, I said to my mentor, what did I say to him? I said to him, John, my business made 1.8 million rand this month. I made 1.8 million rand this month. And John says, Robbie, that's awesome. Good for you. Well done. He says, how much did you keep? I said, what do you mean? He says, well, how much of it was profit? Was it all profit? I said, good grief, man. It wasn't all profit. He says, how much was profit? I said, I don't know, about 200,000. He said, oh, okay. He says, have you made more profit and brought in less? I said, yeah, I remember one month, I think my business made 800,000 and I kept 500,000. He says, yeah, I like that model better.
Yeah, more than often we see these guys start businesses and, you think you're going to have an awesome product and that's itself is going to make you a whole lot of money, but that's not the truth. And guys forget to pay themselves and they give away all the profit. I think the vanity metrics of chasing turnover is such a bad metric. What's the profit in the bank?
There's so many things. I mean, you asked me a question, you asked me for one. I mean, my other favorite, which I got from Tony Robbins, you want to make more money, add more value. Yeah. Honestly, the current package that I'm giving people, I've given such a great deal that I made it like it's stupid to say no. Like, why would you want to say no? And what I want is I could either charge more and have less people on the course, or I can charge less and have more people on the course, change more people's lives, and then what happens is those people go and say, Robin Banks's course changed my life. Mm-hmm. So for me, and by the way, honestly, know your business, trust your intuition. So for me, I started working with a marketing lady at one point in my business, and she increased my prices and she doubled them. And I went, yeah, she says, people will pay that, Robin. And I went, yeah, I'm sure people will pay it. And I said, it just doesn't feel right to me though. And she's like, why? I said, she says you'll have less people. And so some people chase success, but they forget why they want the success, because actually why you want the success is because you want to feel fulfilled. And here's the best part. You can feel fulfilled even without the success. So just remember what you're choosing. And money is important, and I love money. Please don't get me wrong. I love money. Money and I, we're tight. We got a thing going on. But money is not my God. That I'm very clear on. Money is something that I use to make a difference in the world. I'm here to add value. I'm not here to make money. Or let me say that. To make money and add. I'm here to add value and make money while I'm adding value.
Thanks so much, Robin.
We need to get off and be respectful of the time. There's just one quote that you often say that I just want to leave the viewers with, is that they say that money doesn't buy happiness, but for somehow that insinuates that poverty does. So that is just something that I want to leave everyone with. And Robin, thanks for joining our show, and thank
you so much, Robin.
Business show, and we definitely have to get you on again because I still have about 10 more questions that I want to ask.
We've got 20 more.
I told you once it starts, it doesn't stop.
Thanks so much for joining us, making some time for us.
Cheers, guys. Don't forget to be awesome.
Thanks, Robin. Thanks.
Cheers. Keep well. Thank you. Bye.
And then just quickly, lastly, for all our viewers that's on the show, if you want to join our Mastermind group where we've got all courses on you heard Robin say that marketing is crucial for your business. I'll put our offer on the right-hand side. That's for our Mastermind group, nothing to do with Robin Banks. That's from Han Willie's personal Mastermind group where we've got all our courses on. We've got this amazing group of people that's part of the chat here as well. If you want to join it, click on the link and join our Mastermind group. Otherwise than that, guys, thanks for joining our show and thanks for just being awesome. And without you, the viewers, we can't do the show. So thanks again for joining up. And we'll see you next week, Thursday, on the business show.
Cool. Guys, thanks just from my side, thanks for joining us.
We'll keep it back.
Without you, we can't have a show.
Go.
Cheers. Keep well. Bye.
Ciao.